Ohio gozaimasu, konnichiwa, konbanwa, iramashai. My name is Mark. Welcome to 4DM's One Idea, a Western show inspired by Eastern thought. This is a show where we welcome writers, artists, and creators, some might say philosophers, in their own right, to analyze an idea, whether they are inspired to look inwards like the Buddhists to the East or outwards like the philosophers of the West. I look to our guests to come up with a story, character, economy, artwork, song, or even world based on the same idea that everyone will have to work with, and no one knows at this point. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, the closest Western touch point I can give you is the work of David Hume, who in a nutshell said, think of a chair. And once you have the image of a chair in your head, the image you may have may be a simple brown wooden chair, but I may be thinking of a red lacquered chair with a high back, ornate feet, and a pad on the seat. Neither of these ideas is wrong. They're just different instances of the idea of a chair. Myself and our guests will take an idea and in a short amount of time create something from that idea, and we'll all compare notes live and see how different people come up with different ideas and take you through that journey of thought. And speaking of our guests today, we are joined by an illustrious panel of who's who in the tabletop role-playing game community. Our first guest is chef, artist, writer, voice actor, and more, Red, or VA Redemption. Red, please tell the fine folks all about yourself and what you're working on, what you'd like to promote.
You make me sound so much cooler than I actually am, Mark. Thank you. Hi, folks. I'm at VA Redemption on Twitter. I run a stream here on Twitch as well, and it's a very similar stream. It's an improv stream. So if you like what you see here, go ahead and check it out over on Redemption VA. That's the Twitch. And I also have a YouTube, and you should definitely check out the episode that's uploaded to YouTube with Mark in it, because man, he is a treat. Besides that, I'm working on. I'm finishing up a novel that's going to be published very soon, starting the groundwork for a TTRPG, and I cook. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Oh, I did it again. I put it backwards. It's Redemption VA for Twitch, isn't it?
Yep. Like I said, that church. There's a church.
Yep. I got it. There. I got you the right shout out this time, so everybody can go check it out. So from there. Our second guest is the resident contrarian of Gamers Ledge, starting the podcast with me all the way back in 2006 when I bled blue and he bled green. It's Yakamoto Joe. Joe, please tell the fine folks anything you'd like about yourself and anything you'd like to promote as well.
Well, I like me. I mean, that's what I like about myself is I like me. I'm looking inwards. I'm I'm Yakamoto Joe, or just Joe, whatever, doesn't matter. My background right now, I've been out of social media for about 9-10 years because of my previous employ, but I am getting back into it. You can follow me at Yakamoto Joe 123, but there's not much going on yet. I'm just mainly right now working with Mark on Gamers Ledge, occasionally contributing. But my specialty lies in the world of video gaming. I've been doing that since I was a wee-in. I've been either in or around the atmosphere of the games industry for a long time.
And I should point out, I feel it's only fair to point out, without saying any names, Joe legitimately was off social media for 9 to 10 years because he was working directly in the games industry. So, there's that.
And now I'm not, so now I can say whatever the heck I want. So I can be my cranky self, I guess.
And
apparently that's my thing now.
It's not really, but we just like to tease you like it is.
If you like something, I hate it. Challenge me.
Twitter.
Yeah, Joey is the walking embodiment of Twitter. That's the best part I can say.
Exactly.
Our third and final guest for today is Omni, or the Last Omnitech, co-host of Writer's Block and Chip Off the Block, and much, much more. Omni, please enlighten everyone about yourself as well, and anything you'd like to promote.
Oh my goodness, how much time you got? So, hey everyone. Yep, he nailed it. Everyone's favorite robot American, Last Omnitech. Yes, I'm on Red's show, both Chip Off the Block and Writer's Block. Red already mentioned it, but it's a fantastic world building show, and Chip Off the Block is our weekly hangout/review/cover everything we didn't cover show. Both of them are fantastic and well worth a watch, in my opinion. I'm also on DM Studios channel occasionally, as well as a player on Saturday games. So keep an eye out, roughly about same time slot, give or take, on Saturdays over there. You'll spot me playing numerous characters. I'm also in the process of working on my legacy tabletop role-playing game system, which I've been working on for 15 years. It's the only thing I do that I'm better at than speaking without having to worry about breathing, clearly. And then finally, the last thing is I recently finished, with the help of my friend Red here, the AS Caltrop Core game, which is now free to download if you like, but pay what you'd like thing. And go take a look at it, have some fun with it. If you want to have a fun adventure in the setting we've been making on Writer's Block, there's a fun way to do it. And that is pretty much it. Oh, I will be returning to streaming myself this Saturday with a casual gaming stream talking about the future of the channel, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks we'll have some more TTRPG related content on my Twitch.
And what is your Twitch, so that I can give you a shout out in the chat?
It is The Last Omnitect, twitch.tv/The Last Omnitect. I have the same brand everywhere. It's very convenient.
There we go. So you can check them out on Saturday there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I have a few other, before I get started, I have a few other housekeeping notes. I must give credit where credit's due. I was inspired to create this show by Andrew Huang. He's an amazing music producer on YouTube who had the idea to create 4 producers, 1 sample. And I was like, how could I use that same kind of format for the TTRPG space? And this is kind of what I came up with. The other thing I want to say is if you do enjoy this kind of mental exercise for TTRPGs or writing or creating, I do highly suggest that you check out VA Redemption's Writer's Block on Wednesday and with The Last Omnitech, where they are taking words from guests and world building an entire setting as a collaborative writing process. So that's on Wednesdays at what time, Red?
That'll be 8 p.m. CST. And I got a little bit of an announcement to make. I actually haven't said this on Twitter yet. We're done with AS. Wednesday, starting over. Brand new world.
Really?
Yep, we did it. It's been 3 months now since we started. So yeah, we're at that point now where it's just easier for us to let it start fresh, keep things moving. We'll keep working on AS off screen, but I think it's we both agree it's time we'll move on to a new project on the same show.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, in that vein, I also need to announce that we've joined Streamers for Kids, which is a streamer group promoting Extra Life, which, if you're not familiar, it's a charity to buy sick kids in hospitals gaming equipment to make the things that they're in the hospital for not quite as unbearable. If you'd like to donate and brighten some kids' days, simply go down on our Twitch page to where it says the giant program schedule button and click that graphic program schedule. I know that's weird, but they're actually having problems with their Twitch integration right now. So that's the workaround is you click on where it says program schedule for us and it'll take you to the donation page. So that's something we just actually signed up for. So I'm excited about that. Third, I wanted to thank the new follows on Twitch in the last 24 hours. We are just 6 follows away from 500. And we're just 4 subs away from our goal of 35. It's crazy how much the community has been growing and blowing up. We want to thank everybody that's watching, all the new followers, the great Oni King, Practic 326, Louis Lou Jr., Austin, Can Only Be One, Sean David 123, Roblox Gleamer 3564, Nani Love 1, Mr. Waff Waff, Teal X Soul, Weemsy RL, Black Joker, Oliver the Raccoon Queen, and Rainmew, and a huge thanks to Sleep, Aki, and Not Kutaza for the second raid for each of them this week. That's super awesome of you guys. And in that same vein, we put up a new community challenge last week, and you guys obliterated it again. 15,000 points in 2 days. So we will be doing a streamer's one-shot D&D adventure. Something just happened. Twisted Ginger with the gift subs. Thank you so much. You're a rock star, dude. 5 gift subs to the community. Thank you. You didn't have to do that. But you are awesome, and we appreciate you very much. We just met our goal. Huzzah! Thank you so much. But you guys obliterated our 15,000 point community challenge. We're doing a streamers one-shot D&D episode where we will get Bearden, Persephone 13, Jag Leisure, Mystical Panda, and Sleep Deprived, all streamers who have never played D&D before, to do a one-shot along with me. I actually get to play. It's on my birthday, Sunday, March 20th, at 10 a.m. as a live stream. So mark that in your calendars. It should be a really fun, amazing time. We have a diverse group of people with different attention spans and different backgrounds. So this should be really interesting, but it should be a good time. Also, for this show only, we've changed the channel point rewards. There's only one that affects the show. It costs 500 points, and it makes us all four of us, take a drink and cheer to the bonk, the breaking of natural knowledge, which is an inside joke designed to torment Red and make Omni grin. So
Every time.
to the bonk.
To the bonk.
And with that out of the way,
show, Mark. It's been a nice show.
bye, Red. Thanks for coming. So with that out of the way, I did, through the magic of ones and zeros and glass, just receive what our ID is. Now, again, to be fair, I do not know what it is either. So I will be finding out at the same time as everyone else. How do we get the ideas? That's actually coming from our Patreon patrons. So they are actually providing us with that. And if you'd like to become a patron for as little as $1 a month, you can head to patreon.com/gamersledge. That's where we do that. So let's find out, and we'll put 15 minutes on the clock. I'll put us up here, all four of us. Let's find out what today's idea is. The concept, the idea, is Sentient Forest. Sentient Forest. And with 15 minutes on the clock, we will begin Sentient Forest. For those of you in chat, as the others work away, I also have to do this. So I'm going to be typing, but I promise I will get to chat eventually. I apologize for not jumping directly in. Twisted Ginger, you're a rock star. Thank you again for those subs. You're amazing. And thank you for the bits. Let's see. You're still a rock star, Ginger. I appreciate you so much. I don't have win emotes in this, or I would give you one. I should stop distracting them and just talk directly to chat, which I've done.
This is through any medium we choose, correct?
This is through any medium you choose.
Awesome.
There is no wrong answer. Everybody who's joined, everybody that's watching, everybody that's chatting, thank you all. You are a rock star. And hello there.
Hello there.
All right, I'm still working on my concept here. I have a good one in mind, I think. Also, I definitely would like to hear what chat has as an idea for Sentient Forest. I'm not going to look until I finish mine, but I definitely would like to hear what you think when you hear Sentient Forest. Uh-oh. What just happened? Just taking a quick chat, looks back through chat. Les, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. Rick Stevens, how you doing, my man? Glad to see you here. Dean the Bean, thanks for the lurk, man. Glad to see you as well. Mafia689, blah, blah, blah. Jag Leisure, welcome to the channel. Gledden, glad you could make it. Ashley Patrick, welcome. Zia the Chaos Witch, I'm glad you're here as well. I'm glad you're able to catch a stream. This is a brand new stream we're just doing for the first time tonight. Twisted Ginger again. I thought I turned off the sound bits. I'm so sorry. I will give you free sounds, lots of free sounds later, I promise. I don't have that overlay on here, so it won't play.
That's before my life.
Bobicus, welcome to the stream. Mafia J. Mafia, thank you for coming in. Thank you again for all of the gift subs. You're such a rock star, Twisted. I'll have you know that I have added you to the mega page that we thank everybody at the end of the stream. Jimmy Julius, welcome to the stream, man. Hope you're having a great day. All right. We're getting into Bearden. Welcome to the stream. We're getting into it. Getting into some of the suggestions. I don't want to see any of those just yet. So I'm going to go back and finish this. We got 8 minutes and 58 seconds left. I'm about halfway through, I think, on my concept. Okay, perfect. I think I have mine fleshed out. Krizo, welcome to the stream. Persephone13, welcome to the stream. Hello there.
Hello there.
I should have known, Rick. I just read yours. Yes, that's exactly. It is mental exercise. There's no wrong answers. That's the best part about it.
Stop.
We are our own worst critics. We have 4.5 minutes left, everybody.
I feel like I'm back in drawing class doing drills.
Now I really wish I could. Like I had time to go find some kind of image to put up. Maybe I can on my phone. Let's see. I don't know if I have time. All right, we've got 2 minutes left. I'm really trying to find. I think I have an idea.
Like some music or something.
So the stream has music, but you can't hear it.
Oh, all right. I'm a sentient forest.
Classic hits such as "Honey, that's not a tree, that's a person." And "Oops, you're barking up the wrong tree." That's stupid. I'm so sorry.
Oh God.
Red, you should now make like a tree and leave.
Oof.
I was gonna say I should make like a tree and get out of here like this time.
All right. We're down to our last few seconds.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, we are done. So let's take the process of going through and seeing what everybody came up with. I'll go first just to get it out there. That way it's done. It's not in any particular order, but that way I can monitor chat a little bit more when I'm done with this. So let me get my 15 minutes on the timer. Not that I think I'll probably need. We'll see. So 1,000 years ago, in a war that's been long forgotten, a warrior returned from a battlefield with one goal: to deliver the ring he had saved for and proposed to his betrothed. Wounded on the battlefield, he walked, then stumbled, eventually crawled, and finally dragged himself over 20 miles from the site of the skirmish. And with his last energy, he pulled himself to the bank of a river and passed from this world. His will and his quest, however, did not. His body grew roots, and the ring itself became part of the tree. Over the years, the tree grew, leaning over the river, still trying to get home. That Gamer John, thank you for the raid. Appreciate you. I will give you a shout out here in a second. So his body grew roots, and the ring itself became part of the tree. Over the years, the tree grew, leaning over the river, still trying to get home. The tree germinated, and what was once one tree with a will grew into multiple trees. And over the centuries, a forest, still trying to get home to its love. And over time, the trees became aware of people passing through and began to reach out to them. Because of this, after a while, travelers steered clear of the forest. It was as if the branches reached out to everyone to capture them, when in fact, all they were simply trying to do was get home. The forest has slowly spread throughout from the western edge of the continent towards the east, and within the next 10 years will start encroaching on settled land. The young man's name has been lost to history, but if the forest is ever entered and anyone makes it to the riverbank, they will find a large golden ring melded into the bark of the oldest tree all the way around its circumference. And the name of the forest is called the Reaching Forest.
Like it.
That's super romantic. I love that. I really like that a lot. That's such a...
And how I came up with it, which is kind of the question, because everybody has different processes. I always look to the why. Why is something there, or why is it important, or why is it can be something big, it can be something small. But for me, I always like to start with something relatable. And that's, everybody can relate to being hurt. Everybody can relate to being in love. Everybody can relate to having a purpose. And so for me, that just kind of naturally jumped in. I would say like references that immediately flashed in my head would be the King of the Silver River from the Shannara series. Because he was a mythical creature that lived on a riverbank, and you could only see him when you went into that riverbank. So I was thinking kind of along the same lines of that as for when he died on the edge of the river. Maybe there was something magical about the river. And so if you're using this as a plot hook to get players invested in going into the forest, then maybe something will happen when they find that tree still living, reaching out over the riverbank. And then, you know, the idea of a sentient forest that reaches out to people is just aren't creepy. So that's that's always a good thing. And I think actually part of that, like, I can't just let it be, oh, I'm a happy sentient force. It's got to be a little bit sinister, and I blame that on Cassie Mothwin, because her horror expansion that she's got on her coffee page is so good about. I mean, it's much darker than this, but it does have a little bit of that, Wicked Witch of the West, Wizard of Oz, haunted forest kind of feel to it. And I think that might have. I was thinking about this after the fact. I'm like, that might have influenced me since I just read it, a couple weeks ago. And I really think it's great. By the way, you should go check her stuff out. And I mean, that's kind of, as a plot hook for players, for DMs, if they find the tree, can they do anything with the golden ring? Can they turn the tree back into a human? Can they fix the forest, or will it actually start hurting people, or will it just be this weird thing? What's going to happen when it encroaches on land? Those are all the things that I think make an interesting story for anyone wanting to dive deeper into it.
I agree with that. That's such a cool idea. Oh man.
Like I said, super romantic, super inspired. Like I just really love stuff like that. That sort of classical European folklore sort of vibe. It's just like, I don't know why. I don't know how many people are gonna get this, but there's a character from Magic the Gathering named Felden of the Third Path. His whole story is about like trying to replicate a lost love, and this feels like the reverse of it. Like just like I'm just what is left of them rather than what is left of their love.
Right.
It's like I love romantic stuff like that. It's really like heartfelt. It's sad and it makes you feel melancholy, but that's the kind of stuff I like to read.
And I think, when you're looking for things to do in D&D or any TTRPG for that matter, it's all about how can you get your players invested in something. And I normally find that the simplest things are the easiest ways to get them invested. Something they can relate to more than anything else. Otherwise, they may treat it as a, as a joke exercise, if that makes sense.
Right.
Twisted, you don't have to make a story. That's just what I chose to do. And everybody can do something different. This is really highlighting how different people think differently, which isn't something that's bad. That's actually something we should embrace, because otherwise the world would be a very vanilla and boring place if everybody thought exactly the same about everything. So that's the question is, does the forest grow in the direction of his lost love? Yes. Can it sense her? What happens when she moved or died? Yeah. So kind of the way that I would imagine this is that it does not know she's dead. It does not know that it's dead, for that matter. It is just continually trying to get home. That's all. I know and I thought about this too. I know the brief was sentient forest. I would probably argue that I'm almost bordering on not quite sentient, but close, if that makes sense. Because just for the purpose of someone being able to take this and do something else with it, I wouldn't want to necessarily make it where people could have talks with the forest, because that would kind of destroy the mystery of the forest, I guess is the best way to say that. But that doesn't mean that you can't. Yeah, it's kind of a Miyazaki film. Yeah, in my head.
Yeah, no, it very much is a Miyazaki film. That sounds like a Studio Ghibli classic.
It does. But that's my idea. If anybody else has questions, feel free to ask. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask.
Oh man,
It's Logic. Welcome to the stream.
Cool concept.
Hello there.
So since we are talking about this is a forest and there's people encroaching on it.
Hello there.
My first thought whenever I think of a living forest is my mind obviously goes to the Fangorn forest around Isengard in Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings. But I always think about how it interacts with travelers, and so far this thing is it's not been violent.
Right.
It's interacted almost positively. I wonder if it's possible the forest is almost trying to reach on to people, grab on them to go with them.
Correct.
Does that mean maybe it's also trying to lure them to a degree? Like providing them with things like, oh, hey, they're hungry. Oh, hey, a bush of berries. I didn't know that was there before, kind of thing.
Absolutely, it very well could. And the reason I like where you're going with this, and the reason that I specifically didn't go too deep into the magic of the forest is because if anyone ever wants to take this idea, which is totally viable, please do. That's what this show is for, and build it into a campaign like that. That's exactly the type of tinkering and tooling that they can have free reign with. Right? Is it so powerful now after 1,000 years that it entices people in to try and go with them, but then finds it can't? And does it get angry when it finds it can't go with them?
Ooh. Or Jilted Forest.
Yeah, pretty much. Jilted Forest, yeah.
That sounds like a Fortnite location.
I'm dropping Jilted Forest. Yeah.
And eventually they cut it down and build jilted towers with the timber.
Oh, that's the darkest timeline.
But no, I think that's an excellent question. Yeah.
That just like, I mean, what would happen if someone were to, like, you know, come at that tree to take it down or build something using wood from that tree? Would that give it that sort of sentient power, I guess? Like even if you were to build weaponry from it or something like that, would you be able to imbue that sort of sentience to like a bow or something?
You're all good, Shank. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being here. Hello there.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, if someone builds a house with it, does the house lean?
Does the house migrate? You get home and it's like a foot away from where it was.
Yeah, well, that might be a little much, but find the frame shifted. Yeah, I mean,
you move the house again.
It's like you get home a week later, you're like, I could have sworn I set my window up facing north, but now I can't see past the mountain.
If you built like a bow and arrow or bow and or arrows from it or something like that, any arrow that you loose goes towards it's always going towards the direction of where he was trying to go or something like that.
See, and I would even think you could argue that you could make a magic weapon that's called Heart Piercer from it, that it always goes towards the heart of its enemies.
Oh,
because it's trying to get home to the heart that it loves. So, I mean, again, all of those are valid. You're completely right, Joe. Maybe it veers off course and always goes like a magnetized entity towards the direction of his love. Absolutely. I think that's awesome also. I think any of those are great ideas. All of them are great ideas. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting thing. And then Rick says, mobile home, nice. Great, yeah. Thank you, Rick. He also said... maybe it's lonely, wants any human interaction now when it realizes it can't go anywhere. Absolutely, 100%. But yeah, I think it's a interesting concept to play with. I'm interested to hear what everybody else came up with. Who wants to go next? Red, you got it, man.
I can go. It's fine.
No, I'll go.
I'm just going to pop in one last thing. The lover's compass, it doesn't point north. It points towards where she used to live. That's my last contribution.
Oh, the love. Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, next person. Sorry.
You're such a romantic. So Mark has this really cute and lovely idea. I have this really dark and twisted one, as usual.
Perfect.
On brand, Red.
Yeah, that is on brand. I make dark stuff. So I was thinking that a lot of the woods in this, we'll call this world, need to think of a name now. I'll think of a name later. So in this kingdom, there's the King's Forest, and then there's the Feller's Wood. The Feller's Wood has a bad reputation because a lot of combat over time has ended in enemies having to be forced to surrender and then executed, so they'd be hung from the trees, which is just apt because these trees are strong enough and sturdy enough to hold up the neck of a man. And so a lot of those bodies were just sort of left there, and there'd be gibbets hanging from the trees. Gibbets like a cage where they'd put men to die from exposure in medieval times. Wow, this is really dark. I'm sorry. I'm realizing what I'm saying now. But over hundreds of years, people don't get bothered by that stuff. And in real life, in medieval times, people were so used to seeing dead bodies that it didn't even bother them anymore. It was just something that they were used to seeing every day. Same thing with the fellers of this wood. So about 100 years have passed since like any real huge conflict happened. There's mass executions in these woods and stuff like that, etc. But people need to live. People need to move on, gather lumber to build houses. And it's said that these woods are cursed, but the people that live there don't believe that. Or so they'd have you believe. It is said that you need to make your trips quickly in and out of the woods, lest they become aware of your presence. Because the spirits of the dead that live there are rather spiteful. And if you spend too long in those woods, something will start to take notice. So in my illustration, I'll probably have to turn my light down a little bit. It's a little bit sketchy, so forgive me. But the thing I imagined is just like there's a peasant, or a feller as they were called, which is where that term feller comes from, fellow. Fun little factoid. So they are so used to just going, hopefully that shows up. Let me turn down my light a little bit. There we go. So, I'll just turn it off for a second, actually. So, come on, light, please. Work with me. Okay. So there's this fellow just kind of making his way through the woods, and he's not like scared or like angry or anything. He's just sort of like quickly making his way through the woods because the trees have become aware of his presence and they're reaching out towards them. Even the bushes have become aware of his presence. So we have a sentient forest on our hands, but it's a lot more spiteful, and things come to life and sprites come to terrorize people. And it is said that weapons made out of these out of this wood can cause people to go a little bit berserk. Houses, they creak unusually at night. Sometimes the floorboards come up to trip people. These woods are very and incredibly haunted, quote unquote, and it is said that you can still see and hear the spirits and the visages of these dead, these spiteful dead, making their way in their final resting place in enemy territory. I
want to just briefly interrupt you. We all need to share to the bonk. Redeemed by the channel. To the bonk. I heard you not say it.
I said it. I said it very quietly. But
I will get louder every time.
But the thing I was thinking with these woods is that people need to get lumber to build houses and stuff like that, and ship it off and make their livelihoods, and even hunt. But even the animals here are inhabiting, or the spirits of these vengeful dead are inhabiting the animals. So when you have like a normal stag that would just, be run away at the first sign of danger, these animals are big and they charge you. They are incredibly aggressive. Even the birds, if you were to find a swarm of birds or ravens in there, you should go away. There's a reason in this setting they're called a murder. So,
literally.
So you want to stay away from this place because like I said, the longer you stay in there, the more aware of your presence they become. It is sentient, but it's sort of like in the way that fungus can communicate. It has this underground network, but also it's not a very pleasant place to be. It's like going into a city at night. It's like Mark. It's like going to St. Louis in the middle of the night. It's not a good time.
East St. Louis.
East St. Louis.
Yeah.
The Illinois side.
Yeah.
Really,
100%.
It's really bad. Yeah, and but you need to get in and get out. You need to do what you do, whatever you need to do, and leave. But it is said that these spirits sort of just like they can't leave the woods because they're sort of just chained to the trees in a sense. But every now and then there's sightings of people saying that there's somebody hung in the woods, or hanged in the woods rather, and then next thing you know it's gone. Just then there's still old rotten ropes hanging from the trees and stuff like that. But like I said, the branches of the trees have grown like wicked looking fingers, and they look like they're ready to just grab anything that passes by. It's said that the the woods are sort of barren of smaller animals for that exact reason, just snatching anything that they can find. So if you go into these woods at any time, silent, except for the wind running through the trees. No birds chirping, no sound of crunching leaves at wildlife going by. The game trails are sparse and empty. There is no animal life. It is silent. And I think I'll call it the silent forest for that reason. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I'll take questions, I guess.
So, how? So, what would you envision? I guess the short form question of the 9 billion words in my head that I'm trying to condense down is, what would you envision? Would you make this a plot hook? Would you make this just a interesting area of a region? Would you make it? Does it have a purpose? Is the forest want something?
See, all of those questions can be answered, and I will answer each and every one of them. I think this could be an interesting place. I think one of the first things that comes to mind is like there's a bounty on somebody, and they ran into the woods. So you need to find them and get them because they have a big bounty on their head, and then the plot continues. However, the DM or the GM might want to run that. Personally, I'd have the person get killed, and then or the mark get killed, and then not you, Mark. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's only the first show. We don't have to kill me yet.
I'll have Mark get killed. It'll be dramatic. The audience won't expect it. No, but so like in these woods, after that would happen, I'd imagine the adventure would be like discovering why this place is haunted and see if you can actually appease these spirits and these ghosts to put the forest to rest, at least a part of the forest to rest. And perhaps you discover. I can imagine like spiritual sort of flashbacks, maybe to if we're talking Forgotten Realms, maybe this place is a portal to the Shadowfell. That's one of the first things that comes to mind. And maybe it has its own domain. Maybe it's sort of like maybe it's also like Ravenloft in that sense, where it's sort of like you get sucked into this domain of dread, and it's literally just an endless forest, and there's people that don't speak your language chasing after you with bows, arrows, crossbows, muskets, whatever you could imagine. They're vengeful spirits brought back to life just to hunt you down.
So I'm not pigeonholing this idea or anything along those lines when I say this, but this sounds like a great domain for the new Fey Realm stuff that they've released for D&D, along with the Witch in the Twilight.
Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Thank you. I can never remember that name for some reason.
This would be a good Fey Realm too.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, like
as a domain for like a horror domain of some kind. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like classic folk horror. Not so much like it's dark and spooky and dreadful and stuff like that. But there's like actually in this forest, there's people screwing with you. Like they're toying with you. Like it's like a cat playing with a mouse before they kill it. That sort of thing. And from Irish folklore. I know quite a bit about Gaelic folklore. Neil Fayearth would know a lot more than I would, but. The first thing I think of is just like, if you're a feller and you have to go into these woods, carry an iron nail in your pocket because you don't want these vengeful Fey spirits to come along and snatch you. Because Mark, you actually got me along a different train of thought here. The whole idea of these vengeful spirits aren't just like by themselves. The Fey pity them. They're like, you have died in a verdant forest, and it's our forest, and we want vengeance for you too. So we're gonna by doing that, or how we're going to do that is we're going to screw with everybody that comes in and out of these woods, and be that to the extent that you get seriously injured, because actual Fae have like this whole thing where they're really, really like at a drop of a pin, they can go from like really friendly, funny, and joking to murderous.
Yep.
And that's probably what they do. It's just like you see a bunny, and you're just like, oh, that's cute. Well, I need to eat. Try to shoot the bunny. Almost cussed. Sorry. Tree just comes along and slaps you down. Like I can imagine. And one of the Fey pranks that I read about was people that like live in like a enchanted forest, quote unquote. Their houses would just burn down. Like, that's a prank that the Fey would pull. Or like if you've if you sometimes they would like knock over your buckets of milk from your cows and stuff like that. Just like simple pranks like that to like, I'm gonna commit arson. There's like the Fae are wild, and the Fae
They
are
really
wild.
don't have much chill, do they?
No, no, not at all.
Well, I mean, they do.
All the time.
They do if they're forced into it by their own rules. But beyond that, no. If they're not like, if you're not under the guise of hospitality or something along those lines, you're screwed when you deal with the Fae.
Absolutely. It's like that lyric from Sympathy for the Devil. Use all your well-learned politic, or I'll seal your soul. Seal your fate, something like that. I'm sorry, I can't remember the lyric exactly. I like the Rolling Stones, I promise. But now I'm thinking, it's like, when we think of like a portal, it's like, oh, you accidentally passed between like two trees going like this.
Mm-hmm.
What if there's something more sinister at like the center of these woods? Like, what if like the amount of hatred that's just sort of like materialized in this forest made a giant sinkhole? Like a sinkhole that's sort of like, you know, those things at malls where you put a coin in and it goes spinning around. It's like a waterless whirlpool, and it just sort of sucks you into another domain, or just kills you. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's
Some
as wild as you
Junji
want it to be.
Ito level stuff right there. Like,
I'm just trying to figure out how the house rolls around the outside of the sinkhole.
You ever see Wizard of Oz?
Fair. Fair. That's very fair. Yep. The magic of 1920s technology. We can do it.
It's a sinkhole of dirt, or it's like a whirlpool of dirt.
Yep.
Oh,
Let me see if there's any. Rick Stevens gave a resounding when we started on the Fae path. He gave a resounding yes. That was the extent.
I mean, I like the Fae. I don't do enough of them. I like Gaelic folklore and stuff like that, and I like to incorporate more of it. Maybe there's even messengers from the forest that warn people not to go in there, like the banshees of Gaelic folklore. The banshees aren't undead. That's actually a thing that you know, like fantasy, like D&D introduced. But banshees are just like beautiful women that are like harbingers of death. Like they bring warnings, and they're like, if you see one, it's like a pale horse. You know, like it's sort of like an omen. It's like, oh, there's a beautiful woman in the forest just singing and like having a great time, just like sitting on like a rock or a stump. You're screwed. You know what that means? You're gonna die really soon. But they're not evil. They'll never attack you. You know, they'll talk to you. That's the weird thing about them.
And then the forest kills you.
Yeah, and then the forest kills you. The
Right.
forest will swallow you whole.
yeah, it's a black cat. You don't blame the black cat for why it is that, you know, not a real black cat, because real black cats are adorable. But like, the idea of, oh no, a black cat. It's not the black cat's fault you're about to get hit by a Caterpillar truck. It's actually your fault, but it's letting you know, hey, bad times ahead, just so you're aware.
It's that human notion of trying to find a reason in everything. You know, like because we are creatures of reason as much as we are creatures of conflict. But on that note, like, yeah, I feel like if people go into these woods, it's just like I feel like the lumberjacks or the jacks or fellers, whatever you want to call them. I think they play pranks on people sometimes. They don't want them to go too deep into the woods, but they're just like, oh yeah, go into the woods and can you find me like some toadstools? You know, I need them for something, or blah blah blah. And they go into the woods and they get spanked by a tree or something to scare the crap out of them.
It's a snipe hunt. It's the slightly more magical, probably more malevolent version of a snipe hunt.
And I'd imagine if you guys ever played in the Eberron setting, it's one of my favorite D&D settings. I honestly wish they'd publish another book because I love that setting so much. It's like high fantasy, like the way I like it. The way I like it. It's about what I like. No, but seriously, if you check out Keith Baker's work, he's such a brilliant mind. But there's this thing called the Morning. It's like a great apocalyptic event that wiped out the entire city or country of Sire. And in this giant wall of like magical dust, kick up, half-life, whatever you want to call it, there's faces, the visages of the people that are just like, you know, really wicked looking stuff. That's how I imagine the trees would look like. They see like in the same way that humans naturally find faces like on the moon and stuff like that, and things that aren't human at all. You could see visages of people like in the trees and stuff like that. And in the same way you'd see hands and that sort of thing. I have a wicked mind, sorry.
No, I love it. I love it. It doesn't always have to be chocolate sprinkles and glitter.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yours was, and now I feel bad.
No.
It's a super cool idea. Seriously.
Yeah, it's a super cool idea. Absolutely.
It's like you ever seen that picture of like the rainbow house and there's like really black and dark and dreary looking house like right next to each other like that. That's Mark and I's idea so far. He has this really sweet romantic thing, and I'm just like, oh yeah, the trees. If you chop down too many of them, one of them will uproot and kill you.
Yeah, no,
like,
I like it. Who's next?
I can go.
All right, why don't we? Let's see. Are you two? You are two. D2.
Okay. So I went a little more global, I guess, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I basically I had like an idea for like, and it's kind of rooted in science, theoretical science, I guess.
Wait, before you get too far, Joe.
Are we bonking?
We're bonking.
Bonking.
To the bonk.
The bonk.
Listen, you just mouthed it. You didn't even say it, Red.
oh, I said it. I said it with great pain.
Screamed internally.
Okay, please proceed, Joe. I'm sorry.
Yes.
But yeah, mine was like a little more global, and then centering, and then like dialing in a little bit. I had this idea for like these like hub trees, or like mother trees, I guess you'd call it, if you want to be all Gaia, type of thing. But basically the world is connected by roots and everything. And so you have these, I kind of drew a really bad picture of it, but you have, these are trees and basically, the entire world in this campaign or whatever is connected by a root system. And so people that live in the south can communicate with people in the north by communicating through the root, kind of like with laying fiber, like internet, but with trees. And so people can commute or talk with each other through the roots. And so, you could whisper to a toadstool, and then the toadstool would take it to the mother tree, and then the mother tree would pass it to the people in the north. And so you have like this, the entire world can stay connected through these hub trees or these mother trees. And then where things kind of, dial in a little bit, you stop getting communication from the other trees. You don't hear from the north as much, or you don't hear from the south as much. And suddenly all this forest, so in my mind, like each mother tree or whatever was responsible for a quarter of, the planet's flora and fauna and things like that. Suddenly, in certain places there's desert, trees are dying or drying up and everything, and places are becoming more arid. And my thought process was having, a character or something like that start in one of these places that was arid and trying to figure out what's going on and why the trees are not talking to each other. From there, it's kind of like if you ever watch the Neverending Story, it's kind of like a reverse nothing.
Mm-hmm.
it's like but yeah, so that was kind of like my thought process on that. And good city name, Barkansas.
Oh my God.
Ah.
Is that spelled with that? Is that SAS or SAW?
Oh no, SAS. I mean, it's got to be a proper pun. It's got to be like Arkansas, but with bark. Obviously.
Yeah, some people call it Bar Kansas.
Right, because they don't know any better.
Exactly.
Explain, America. Explain.
Heathens.
By the way, chat has redeemed another bonk. To the bonk.
To the bonk.
To the bonk.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh. Hell yeah, baby. Let's go. Oh.
Red's like, why did I ever agree to be on the show?
I didn't know I'd be tormented by this.
So,
So good.
my first question that I have for you is kind of in the way you described it. Do the trees get a say in this? In being used as a communication system because they're truly sentient and are wanting to do it? Or is it more of...
So I mean, that's actually really awesome. I mean, that's like going a step further. Absolutely. I mean, that could be part of the root problem.
Your pun game is on point because every single one of these puns is a moment, a beat, revelation, irritation, the grudging admittance that it's funny, and a good exhale. These are all phenomenal. Well done.
Don't encourage them.
It's sapping my energy. I tell you what.
Rick, who is a full punster, that's the only reason he exists is to exude puns, says, Joe, that deserves a visit from the pun police. You know, the cops.
You people.
Oh my god, I love it.
I'm not even mad. I'm just impressed.
Like how smart are these trees, by the way? Like,
Right, yeah, because that's where I was going with that too.
No, I think that's I love that. I mean, I think that could be, not to revisit it, but I mean that could be the root of the problem. Is that could be part of what it is. Kind of that, and I hate to even whisper. He's like Voldemort, but Shyamalan, M. Night Shyamalan, and his Angry Trees movie.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yep.
I mean, I hate to like go to that well, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of, like the forests are angry, and so they are poisoning people, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of, it could definitely be something like that where the trees are just like, we're done, we're being abused, people aren't taking care of us or things, and so they're drying up, or maybe they're purposely not sending messages or something. I mean, something to cause the planet to start becoming more arid. The only place where there's trees would be around the
mother trees.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you as the party could start one of those areas, and I mean, you do however I mean, there are a million different ways you could probably go from that to solve that, or things that you could do, places you could go. I mean, even going into the forests, stuff like that.
And so what happens, this is my other follow-up question that I immediately had as soon as you started talking about this. What happens if one of the mother trees is destroyed?
That's fantastic. I mean, that's a great question. I mean, that would be.
I mean, I would imagine it'd be catastrophic, but is it just for the trees, or maybe also for that continent? Or, I mean, it's just that I think that's an interesting thing to look at.
Or maybe that would even be like a good jumping off point. Is even. Taking a step back, and maybe that's one of the jumping off points, is someone has cut into one of the mother trees, and that has caused that area to completely die off. Nobody can get information in or out. Plant life is dying. I mean, yeah, that's kind of a cool question.
Reminds me of the Great Deku Tree dying in the beginning of Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
I didn't say that. I play a lot of video games, and I played a lot of video games. I should say that too. But yeah, I feel like I don't want to take your idea. I'm just like bouncing off of it. Obviously, I feel like the player characters that could be like a 3-part sort of like Tolkien-esque like trilogy. It's just like you have a really good victory, you save one of the trees in the beginning. Second part, one of the trees dies, and then the third part, I don't know, you figure something out, but like you're like
or even like maybe finding a way to reestablish that tree that has died, maybe, maybe finding a way to, kind of jumping off the Deku tree comparison, maybe taking something from one of the other trees and bringing it back to where the that dead mother tree is at, or something like that.
Yeah, it's like how they I don't know why I always talk about this. It's like how they dug up the topsoil in Kansas and caused the Dust Bowl. They wanted to bring fertile soil from one place and put it in another place. Like
Rick has a good comment in chat as perhaps a plot hook to start off the adventure, is that a continent has gone silent on comms through the trees, and the party has to go see what's wrong. And then they find that one of those trees has been killed, something along those lines. You could even say that maybe you're hired by this one kingdom who's really good, has really great relations with this other kingdom, and they're the ones that have gone silent, thus giving you a reason why your party would be involved, because they need somebody to go check it out. I think that's a very interesting, man. Good ideas all around, man.
It's a short, simple, sweet
Yep.
plot hook. That,
Yep.
You start right here, and it's like the tree. It sort of like branches out into like a lot bigger and more conflicts.
Branches out.
I saw what you did there.
Yeah.
We all saw what you did there.
I'm just frustrated because I'm not going to be able to pun on command tonight. I can already feel it. It's not going to be in my repertoire tonight.
Well,
some nights I'm like a gunslinger right out of the holsters. Tonight, nope, they're closed. They're pinned.
Omni, it's fine. God damn, you beat me to it. I was literally just saying you can't leave no matter what you want to do, even if you can't do it.
Oh, bless. I can at least be entertainingly flummoxed by them. I will be the straight man in this conversation with all y'all punning me.
Well, you think you're the straight man, but you're not.
Oh, no, I'm definitely not. But yes, I feel you.
I meant KNOT, not.
Oh,
that was a great one, actually. That was,
wow. That was fantastic.
The explanation normally makes a pun not as good, but that was set that
elevated it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like putting a railroad spike down before you bring the sledgehammer down. It's a deep.
Rick says he believes in you. You can come in with at least 1, 2, or 3.
Why am I laughing at this?
Because they are truly the highest form and lowest form of humor, and I love them so
Would you say they're like the canopy of humor?
Yes.
Nope, it's not gonna happen. I keep trying.
You're in the thick of it now.
Yep.
That's the worst part of it, is when you can't pun. And everyone else around you is just like, oh yeah, get ready. And it's just, I feel like Hercule at like the DBZ games. Like everyone else here is like world-endingly powerful, can dig trenches with their mind. And Hercule like, yeah, I'm a professional wrestler. I got this. Did he just throw him into the stratosphere?
I'm going to need you to deliver your idea concept in Mr. Satan's voice, please.
Oh, no. I genuinely...
I'm just kidding.
I wish.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I would need 7 balls to wish that one.
I heard you, Red. I don't think anybody else did, but I heard you. Just want you to know I'm on the same wavelength as you there.
Fair.
I go with the grain.
So...
Okay. So I guess we'll start with the seed of my idea.
Hey.
It was a weak one, but I had to start out somewhere.
It's growing.
Yeah,
you got it.
Everything starts in one place and it branches out, as you mentioned earlier.
A little sappy, but go on.
Yeah. So I went and I decided I was going to try some rapid fire art tonight. So fun thing is I actually had the idea already done, and I realized I don't have any way to share my screen, so that's fine. I have 2 screens, it'd be a mess, but I do have a phone and a Discord connection on it, and an ability to put art on the Discord and then just open it up. So we'll see if this is too bright, and if not, I'll just dial it down a little bit. This is actually an idea that I had already been exploring for a long time for Legacy, if that's all right to get into here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I love it.
Thank you. So this is actually a species I developed for Legacy and the prehistory. So Legacy in its current era is kind of sort of a post-apocalyptic setting, but like 2,000 years after a galaxy-ending apocalypse. There's a bunch of aliens all over the galaxy, but now only one of those species survived, and all the ones that live now are kind of recent entrants. So this is one of the elder species, known as the Verasi. And their particular trick is that unlike most of the life in the galaxy, they are truly a plant-like species. They begin life as saplings, and as they grow, they utterly change shape. So you can actually see in that art at the very bottom is a human to scale, if it'll actually like focus.
If you want to send that to me on Discord, I don't have you as a friend on Discord, but I can definitely throw it up there.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. If you have a, let's see if I can find that. I should be on here.
Oh,
Why are you doing that? That gives me another Magic the Gathering reference. Sorry. First thing I thought of was Avenger of Zendikar, like just like the big tree people, like, and also what's that? Lorwyn. Lorwyn had the tree folk.
Oh yeah, the sap. No, they weren't saplings.
Sapperling.
God.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you got the right thing. Sapperlings. Yeah.
Let's see.
Little tree people.
Or you can shoot it to Red, since he is friends with me on Discord.
Yes,
and then
we'll do
I do want to become your friend on Discord.
Yes, please. I can't believe that's a thing that hasn't happened yet. I'm a little bit annoyed with myself.
Shame.
No, I think it just didn't happen when I was on your show, and it should have, and it's my fault. So
Rick just said that'll really spruce things up. You're a genius, Rick. You're a tree.
Oh no, his best one by far was Oak K.
That was that was a good one.
So I'm gonna get back into my idea before my break.
Yes, please do.
So I love you all. You're all great. So the idea behind the Verasi is that they begin life as saplings, roughly human-sized. And the reason why I have slated them onto the species that have been wiped from the galaxy and are technically extinct is because mechanically I struggle to make them work. I have an idea of how they function, because when they're young, they're vaguely humanoid. They have a couple buffs. They're sort of armored. They're a little more resilient. They don't have any vitals, so they don't really get crits. But as they get older, they literally continue to grow like a tree and get larger and broader, but slower, and they begin rooting themselves. And at their eldest, they literally physically are rooted in place and only able to slowly move. And the end of their life cycle, when they die, is when they cease being sapient and enter their final reproductive state as a full-on tree. So for them, they literally sort of go to sleep and they cease moving, but that's when they make more Verasi. And so I liked the idea. It's not a spoiler. It's a plot hook I'm going to include in the game. One of the ideas I had is that if I ever want to have like a cool plot hook for storytellers in the setting of Legacy, to just go and have fun with the sci-fi setting. What you're able to do, and Red, I did send that picture to you. I'm not sure if you got it.
Yeah, I just forwarded it to Mark.
Thank you.
So I slumber. I love that, Red. Thank you. A slumber. So the idea is that the other species of the galaxy are presumed destroyed. It's not like you can go around the entire galaxy rationally and do a census of every world. And the thing with the Verasi is that we know for a fact there are technically Verasi alive, because when they die, they become forests. So many Verasi and the onset of this giant galaxy-spanning calamity, many of them just accelerated their growth to their final state and hoped that they would just sort of be passed over. Not that they could come back from it, but, easier to survive as a forest. There's still, however, the possibility of Verasi groves, which is what their communities were called, still surviving out there in the galaxy, having laid low. And I love the idea of first contact with the modern species of the galaxy, with Verasi like, oh, we didn't think there was anything out there. Hello, weird creature. They don't speak the way we do. They communicate with color through their petals, which is why their petals are all different colors. Because I always thought about it like, how would you communicate with a plant? Now it had to be either light or chemicals. And for them, it's easier for them to have chemicals, light, and as a result, their petals rapidly oscillate almost like octopus skin. So it's kind of, I made a species, and I thought it fit this prompt perfectly. And I'm willing to field any questions anyone's got on it. because they're definitely a player species I want to put in the game when I figure out how to make them work. But yes, and it
Is
can
it-
easily adapt in other systems, I'd imagine.
Is it okay that I save the image as treeple?
Yes, I do not
Excellent.
mind you saving them as treeple. I love this.
Actually, I think it's super cool. First of all, did you really just draw that?
Yes, I did.
Holy
that within-
crap, man.
So I actually did the whole thing up to some last minute detailing on there in the first 15 minutes. And then I went back and did some minor touch ups because OCD, I just wanted to clean up some lines so that
Sure.
it reads properly. But other than that, yeah, no, I did that all in 15 minutes. Perks of being of having been professionally trained as an illustrator, you very quickly learn how to do speed work.
That's awesome, man.
Just did a sketch.
Yeah.
I'll also
Making me
say
look like
it's a lot
amateur
easier to
out
do a
there.
full color thing when all I need to do to colorize it is take my pen and gently add it in like a watercolor.
So what you're saying is
100%.
digital art is easier than traditional art.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Just wanted, I wanted everybody to hear that at home,
Wow.
including my significant other.
Wow.
Okay. I'm going to say this so that I don't get murdered by your significant other, that I think that they both require different sets of skills. The advantage in digital art is it allows you to do more with less, whereas the advantage with physical art is that the limitations offer you stylistic choices. In my opinion, they're both valid. That's why I work in mixed media, because I like both. I think they're both great. And as far as I'm concerned, if you doodle a stick figure on a bathroom stall, it's art. Just please don't do that. That's vandalism. Thank you.
Also, chat says hot take.
Hot take. Yeah, that
Hot
was
take.
kind of a hot
Hot
take, wasn't it?
takes.
I've done both. I do digital.
Mildest of take. Omni likes art.
I actually have 1,000 questions. The first one is when they go to sleep. Since the brief is sentient forest, and they don't actually become a forest until their end of life cycle.
Right.
Do they emanate maybe psychic waves or something to, if someone were to come across that forest, there would be a reason for them to be afraid to be in there because they're getting all these emotions or feelings or thoughts from them that they can no longer control because they're asleep.
So the idea that I had was that what happens is their conscious minds disappear, but there's still some level of their underlying subconscious. I like to imagine that they dream, but it's a collective dream. We talked about the idea of like mycelial networks earlier, fungus talking to itself, trees talking amongst each other. That's a real thing, actually. You can actually track data being passed between trees and between fungus by literally following chemicals moving through trees, which is why if one tree gets cut down this is real, by the way, not in the sci-fi setting. In the real world, a tree being cut down in a forest will cause all trees within, in some cases, kilometers to have a stress response because they share that knowledge. They share a root system, and the chemicals of stress from one tree will pass to the others like a wave. So I imagine that the veracity, the groves, the structure of those groves has some kind of latent intelligence. It's just not cognizant. It's not communicative anymore. And it might not even be fully conscious. So do trees dream of leafy sheep? I imagine.
Make that
I was trying to come up with something.
Yeah.
clever like
Sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do
My mind
trees
was
dream
just
of wooden
reeling.
sheep? Damn.
So yeah, for what it's worth, also the veracity as a species, historically used to be extremely xenophobic, but that's a result of them having been assaulted so often. A lot of species stumble across their groves, and to them, that is literally like, say, you walk into a graveyard and you see somebody digging up headstones for material. That wouldn't fly with most people. And for the veracity, seeing someone come in and go like, oh yes, these trees would be great for a furnace, and start cutting down pieces of like wood to throw into an engine or something. Yeah, no, that'll get you a lot of angry 20-foot tall tree people very quickly. And even as simple as their technology is grown. They actually cultivate their tech. So all their weaponry are adapted plant life forms. Most famous weapon that they have, and actually a relic you can get in the normal game now, is actually what I like to call a spike planter. And it literally looks just almost like an evergreen tree. It's adapted with a handle for hands that aren't human, for sure. But if you use it, it plants a seed in someone at a couple thousand miles per hour, like a bullet. If you survive, it rapidly desiccates the person, and a new tree gun grows where that is. So you literally are creating additional weapons for your troops to use with each kill you make.
So,
which is why they're super controlled if they're encountered.
I'm taking some creative liberty with the response, but if you are shot with one of these seed-like bullets, does it create a status effect called Moss Hysteria?
I love it. I love it so much. I will have to make that reference.
That's totally Rick. I told him he's murdering me tonight, and I love it.
See, when I think of you having a weapon that like transforms the enemy into more of you, I think of Tyranids. Like, because Tyranids have that sort of tech. Like their bullets are literally just small little
Tyranid
parasitical
bioforms,
things.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that like fling themselves at other people and blah blah blah. That's what I think of. But this is like more of a verdant form of that. It's
Yeah.
like a weird fleshy bug thing. It's like, oh yeah, you turn into a tree, like that episode of the live action Cowboy Bebop.
Oh boy.
So, which I still haven't watched. Yeah, I know. I've heard.
About it.
Hot take. Oh,
Yeah.
not worth watching. Ooh,
Yeah.
Cancel me on Twitter.
So my second question of the 1,000 that I have, do they require oxygen?
Yes. So Veracity do... The thing about Veracity is as they get older, their biological nature changes. A fun thing that I remember learning in one of the very first biology lessons I learned was that trees, we always think about them as photosynthesizing. That's obvious. However, they have to survive through the night. And there's not an animal alive on Earth that can literally hold its breath for like over 8 hours at a time that I'm aware of. There might be like one or two, but that's not normal, and that wouldn't be healthy for a plant.
Probably a tardigrade. Tardigrades can do everything.
Tardigrades just die and then shrug it off. Like they're tardigrades OP must nerf. In Tier Zoo knows what I'm talking about. So, what I did learn actually is that during the night, or when separated from either sufficient sunlight, sufficient water, or sufficient carbon monoxide, trees actually respirate like humans. They just do it on a cellular level. So they actually have mitochondria and chloroplasts. So when they're younger, Veracity rely more on traditional cellular respiration to breathe. They can survive oxygen starvation a lot more because they do photosynthesize. They have quills and adapted leaves, the petals on their head. All of that photosynthesizes. Their skin, their vines that they're made out of, literally can turn green to photosynthesize. But they rely more on respiration. But as they get older and slower, the energy returns from respiration aren't enough to move them, which is why they slowly migrate to solely photosynthesis and respiration only in a resting nighttime state, which is ultimately what kills them, or how we would describe killing. For them, it's just a different transitory state, a very unique approach to death, which is kind of just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to cease being the talking me and go to being the eternal, vigilant, dreaming me, which is kind of cool if I think about it. That actually sounds like a really good deal. So yeah,
I got
there
any
you go.
questions. My brain is such a peanut right now. I just keep thinking triple. So like in nature, they're not like necessarily speaking in nature rather than nurture.
Right.
They're not like overtly hostile towards like fleshies. They're just sort of like indifferent towards them.
Right. Like
Are
are
they on like that said, are they also on like what sort of like technological level are they on? Because you said they can literally just like make guns that make more guns.
Right. So the Veracity were a spacefaring species, and in terms of nature versus nurture, I always default to this in Legacy. It's one of the founding principles of the game system that I'm making, is that I personally believe that the mark of sapience is that you can self-determine. So I tend to do away with predispositions towards things. There are natural inclinations, of course, towards certain functions. The Shrike are predatory, and land sharks want meat. But that doesn't necessarily mean their first reaction to another sapient life form is a hostile predator relation. It informs how they view the world, but it doesn't mean that there's not outliers on everything. And those outliers are, in fact, what I like to call the norm. There is no such thing as normal. And I believe that very firmly, that every individual is unique, and we take everything in like a broad stroke, almost always to error. So for legacy, it's always up to the individual. I'm sure there's veracity that are born homicidal, and I'm sure the bulk of them aren't. As far as technologically advanced, they were capable of space flight. They were a actual foe to one of the species in the modern age, that survivor species that might have accidentally doomed the galaxy. And by might have, I mean absolutely did, the Anazali. Who are the most technologically advanced species of the modern era and that prior era. They were actually a major rival until a huge war caused them to sort of decide, like, is it worth us destroying ourselves, seeing all our groves burned, to just beat an enemy that we can literally outlive even longer than the Anazali? So they just kind of retreated to their worlds, agreed to armistices eventually, and just became isolationist. So they are quite technologically advanced. Their methodology is just very different from ours. They can't even, in fact, make things like armor and such that they graft onto themselves with sap or natural glue, which comes off the same way for chemical reactions. So they're pretty advanced.
Well, I think we've kind of really did everything that I set out to do originally with the show. We basically took an idea. Everybody had wildly different ideas and execution of those ideas. We had interesting discussion on each one of them and insight into the thoughts of each of the creators. We basically, if you would like to review this, use it, these will be going up on video as on demand on both Twitch and YouTube. So make sure you check that out as well. If you want to get your idea onto the stream, head over to patreon.com/gamersledge, where you can get your name on every single show as a producer, just like the fine folks will highlight here in just a moment. But I first want to thank our guests tonight. First, since he's on the screen already, Omni, the last Omnitech, everybody's favorite Robot American, or human. Wait, Robot Human, Robot American.
Robot American.
Robot American. My bad. My bad.
With the difference, you're good.
I'm still floored in the fact that you got this done in 15 minutes. I'm going to also say, at the risk of making Red very mad, this is the first time I've seen you outdo him in a thing.
Oof.
There's a lot of connotations there.
I'm just kidding. I'm actually very impressed with your interpretation as well, Red. I thought I actually am super thrilled that you went the exact 180 from where I went, because I went exactly as you said, not glittery, but romantic and kind of, forlorn, and you went horror and possibly mischievous. I like that a lot. While I'm here, I also want to thank Yakamoto Joe, of course, longtime contributor to the channel. You can catch him probably on the next Gamers Ledge podcast, which will be next Friday. And we'll see what other trouble he gets rustled into. But thank you, all of you, for joining us. Oh, we do have one more bonk before we go. So
You had to.
we had to.
I
Had to.
I
So
had
to the bonk.
to the wall.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm going to throw up our, if I can figure out where it is. Hold on one second. I don't think I actually included that video, so I'll do it from memory. As always, if you'd like to support us, you can do so on YouNow by becoming a fan, sending likes our way, just like Redman did, Tattoo Guy did, Brian ML Framps. Thank you all on YouNow tonight. On Twitch, you can always hit that follow button to unlock exclusive emotes. just for watching and being a member of the community. We have all kinds of shows, everything from tabletop RPGs to Fortnite to Escape from Tarkov to shows like this. And we're going to be back at 7 p.m. tonight with Fun with Friends Friday, which will probably be Fortnite and perhaps some Jackbox. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to let the community decide because we're playing with the community this evening. Hit that subscribe button if you're able to become one of our rock stars. As always on YouTube, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and of course the bell icon to be notified whenever we upload new content, which is every single day of the week, Monday through Friday. And last but not least, no matter where you're watching from, patreon.com/gamersledge gets your name on every single show that we do for as little as $1 a month. And I again want to thank all of our guests. Thank you for watching. Until next time, be excellent to each other and game on.